Iterators in Python. Let's understand iterators, learn to create them, and talk about infinite iterators and the benefits of using iterators. Say you have a list, you're traversing on it, but only need one item at a time. What do? This is where iterators come in. An iterator is an object that lets us traverse on a collection of values, one value at a time. Many constructs like for loops, comprehensions, and generators use this implicitly to carry out what they will. For iterators, we use the iter and next functions. These are what forms the iterator protocol. See, this is a list evens. Even iterator is an iterator on this list. Even iterator is a list iterator object. We've created an iterator. Now let's see how to use them. The next function gives us the next item in list. Since this is the first item right now, it returns 2. And the next item is 4. And the next is 6. And then we have 8. And then 10. And then there's no item left. So it raises stop iteration. An iterator doesn't have to be on a list. It can be on any collection of values, even a tuple. The next function in turn calls the next method. Nums is this list and numIter is an iterator on it. Next is 1, then 2, then 3, and then a stop iteration. This is an exception and we'll talk about those in detail in the later parts of this course. This is how you would traverse to print each letter in the string Python. This is the same as this. Iter obj is an iterator on this string, and while true, then in the try block, the next function returns each letter and stores this in letter one at a time, then prints it. If stop iteration is raised, the except handles this by breaking out of the while loop. And so, this gives us the same output. Let's learn to create our own iterator. We'll create one that returns numbers from 1 to max to the power of 2. This is class squares. Init initializes max. We override iter and next. Iter sets num to 0 and returns the object itself. In next, till num is less than or equal to max for this object, it raises num to the power of 2, returns it, and also increments num by 1 before returning. When num becomes greater than max, it raises stop iteration. 4 is an object of this class, and max is 4. Square is an iterator on this. So this is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and stop iteration. Like a loop, it is possible to accidentally or deliberately create an infinite iterator. If we provide a value to iter, it acts as a sentinel and keeps watch. As long as the first value does not equal this, it never exhausts. Let's see what the int function gives us without arguments. 0. Okay, now 0 is an iterator on this int function and the sentinel is 1. Next is 0, and until this value becomes 1, which it never does, it keeps returning 0. So it never raises stop iteration. Let's take an example on a class. Class even. Num starts at 2 and is incremented by 2 each time. E is an object of class even and item is an iterator on this. The next item is 2, then 4, 6, 8, and so on. Finally, what are the benefits of using iterators over plain lists? A list holds a number of values at once, but an iterator only holds one value at a time. This means a list needs more space to hold all these values. In an iterator, since it references the same memory location every time, the relevant data is always in the cache. This means it is faster and more space efficient with larger datasets. Next, we'll compare generators and iterators in Python.